This was my spiritual awakening. I felt a lot of loneliness during this process. A lot of people couldn't relate. They couldn't understand.
This is why I've started this podcast, because I feel we don't need to do this alone.
The mind, the ego really wants to control and to cling on to identities and structures and safety because it believes it can. Kundalini is the primal force of creation that is resting in the base of our spine. I had so much electricity in my body that every single day I would need to wake up and go to the grass in my garden and lay down. And I would wake up with my hair like this. In the collective, the vibration of earth is raising the frequency and all the things that were under the carpet are coming to the surface. And we are all so shocked about that, like what is happening in the planet. All of these aspects of ourselves, these programs, these patterns that we were carrying through so many generations because of our ancestors, they needed to go through so much repression and suppression. We are ready to make peace with that and choose something different. It doesn't matter how much we try to find the answers outside of us. If the nervous system is not regulated, if we're not present here and now, the mind can be lost into the past, what already happened, or how can I control the future? And this is how we create stress and complications to our lives. So if we are able to, we're in this place of seeking for things to be different than they are. Even in our prayers, please, I want this and this and this. When we start to finally be present and observing around us the abundance that is already here and practicing gratitude, we can allow ourselves to be in the vibration of what we are calling in.
Hey, beautiful soul. Yes, you. You are beautiful, whether you identify as female, male, trans, alien, fairy, witch, human, daughter, son, mother, sister, brother, grandpa, grandma. You are beautiful, and don't you ever forget to be you to the full. Thank you so much for stopping by and clicking on this episode. It has called you for a reason, and that is because it matches your frequency and your vibration, and there is a message in it for you. Before every episode, I sit in meditation and I ask for those who are meant to benefit from my conversations be guided to it. If you resonate with this episode, please subscribe, like, comment below, and even better, share this episode with another being. Now, when we share our information, it helps to bring consciousness to as many beings as possible. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for spending your time here and working on yourself to find out who you are so that you can shine your light for others and help the consciousness of the planet. Now, without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, it's Melissa, and welcome back to the Purpose Search podcast, where I discuss all things science, spirituality, and purpose. If this is your first time tuning in today, welcome. My aim is to hold some incredible and valuable conversations with people who are so knowledgeable in their field that have found their purpose, which I hope will spark something inside you to listen to the call of your heart and intuition. We welcome Marina Sol to the podcast today, who is a transformational mentor, supporting others going through transitions using somatic intelligence and many other tools that she has learned over the years. Marina is also the creator of Inner Mystery School and teaches the healing arts and mysticism. Marina, thank you so much for joining today. Welcome to the Purpose Search podcast. It's so lovely to have you on screen.
Thank you so much for welcoming me in this amazing container. I'm very, very excited for our conversation. Yeah, let's see how it's going to unfold.
So exciting to have you here today. And thank you so much. Now, if you're new here today, every episode I start with a short breath exercise to drop us into the body and get present with the conversation as we come onto screen or we're listening through our ears. So today, please do not do this if you're driving, but I invite you to close your eyes if you feel safe to do so. But you can also take a soft gaze in front of you if that feels more comfortable. And we're going to focus on square breathing today. So when you're ready, get into a comfortable position, feet planted on the floor, and we're going to close our eyes and focus on our breath. So we'll do some square breathing today. We'll breathe in through the nose. We'll hold it for 4, and then we're going to breathe out for 4, and then hold it for 4. So here we go. Breathing in for 4, breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do this one last time. Breathing in the biggest breath you've breathed in today. Breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bringing the attention to your feet and your fingers. And when you're ready, open your eyes and come back to screen. Welcome, Marina. Thank you so much for joining us today. I always start my conversations asking my guests, what do they do? But I like to rephrase this to what lights you up and sparks joy in you and how you found your purpose.
I believe that finding our purpose is always changing according our transitions in life. So right now I have a specific purpose, and in tomorrow perhaps I have another one. We always have small purposes and bigger ones, right? And I feel that strong quality that I have in my personality is that I'm a free person. I always was very attracted to freedom, and this always was sparking a curiosity on me to overcome my fears. And so I I feel I lived many different lifetimes inside of one life, playing different characters on this movie that is life. And so, because I am used to transition, because I understood how to find my own center, my inner center, how to become home to myself while navigating all of these transformations, I understood that I I started to understand better about how to support others to go through this type of transitions. And for example, I work a lot with people who are going through ego death, or they are changing their career, or mothers who are mothering for 10 years and then after that they doesn't know who they are anymore, or someone who was in a relationship for so many time and then they broke up. And yeah, alongside different situations, but I feel the transition is part of our life. And so because I've been really on this path, what lights me up is to share my own experience with others and to support them to feel more comfortable and find more clarity in the chaos, in the confusion, in the transition. And so this lights me up. Alongside with dancing, I was a dancer for many years of my life. I really, really love to dance.
Yeah,
And
you
I
were a
work,
ballerina for 10 years, right?
yeah, classic ballet.
Wow.
It was a life inside of this lifetime, as I said.
Yeah.
This gave me a lot of knowledge in regards to the body, and that was always a big therapy for me. And so through movement of the body, I support others to release what is somatic stuck in the body. And so this is a big passion for me too. Everything that is connected to empowerment and self-development and self-expression, and also relationships, like relating to each other, like how do I relate to myself, how do I relate with others. So this is a big passion for me. And I believe my purpose is to be so in love with my life and with myself, that I can be present enough to play any role that I'm here to play in each moment. And so I feel that presence is my ultimate purpose. Yeah, practicing meditation and other types of tools, also dancing or walking on the street or cooking. I found a way of understanding each micro purpose that I have during my life. Always very focused on what is happening in between where I was and what I want to be.
Mm.
I believe that my main purpose is to really present and happy in my body.
And I've really, really witnessed that. Like, we've spent some lovely quality time together and presence together, and I've witnessed the presence of you and the love in your food and your cooking many, many times. That cinnamon on that mango was delicious that time that I had it. And your chocolate dessert over for Christmas that one time, it was beautiful. Oh, I feel like blessed and have so much gratitude that I even got to taste some of your cooking. So thank you for that. And it's actually quite interesting because the next question I normally ask is about people's human design and their astrology sign. And I did a little bit of looking at your incarnation cross in your human design. So, for anyone who doesn't know what human design is, it's a modality linking the Kabbalah and the I Ching and the chakra system, and it's a way to find your blueprint, your energetic blueprint, and it gives you an indication of what your life's purpose is here. And yours, you are a manifesting generator 2-5, and your incarnation cross is the right cross of the sleeping phoenix, which is often about cycles and transformation and rebirth and, you know, rising into a more authentic version of yourself, which, from what you've just said about like transforming and like becoming and being a new version of yourself, and our purpose is always changing, that makes so much sense to your design and why you've been brought here. So that was just lovely when you were speaking there. I was just like, oh, that's so nice how it just like ties really beautifully into that. Do you resonate with this theme at all?
Yeah, for sure, I do. I am not so much into human design, so I don't know so well about the meaning of this cross. I saw it before and I always resonated with the phoenix. But I know in astrology, my north node is in the house of Scorpio. And the Scorpio and the phoenix is always about like death and rebirth, the
Mm-hmm.
transformation. And so, yeah, it's just about allowing myself more and more to find different parts, perspectives of a spectrum of this experience as being a human,
Yes.
exploring that and having fun with that. So
Yeah, I love that. And I also love how all the modalities, they're just maps to find yourself, really. And that's why I love exploring my guests' signs and their designs, because it, for the listener, it's also really interesting to see how that works with them and how their life has unfolded to find their purpose. So your astrology sign, do you want to tell everyone what that is?
I'm Pisces.
You're Pisces, so intuitive, and your rising sign is Aries, and an Aquarius moon. Now it's so interesting because we are filming this today on the new moon of Aries, but there are about like 1,000 planets in in Aries today. So it's, yeah, it's so much fire and so much excitement. And how does your rising sign feel with you when you're, how do you resonate with that?
I was always really a action-oriented person.
Mm,
And so I always had a lot of energy. Also, being a manifesting generator, I have so much energy to do things.
mm.
And I can create and solve things really quickly. I'm also Brazilian and we are like problem solvers.
Yeah.
Used to that. And so I feel that I always had this the fire for the action, for the movement as well. Like I need to do exercise a lot and etc. And I have a very strong personality. And so because Aries is my rising, is my identity, right? And it's it's a lot about embodying who I am in each moment, even if I'm all the time going through transformation, to feel comfortable with that and just be that person with no excuses. I feel many times in my life I was invited to step out of this and just like not be in my center, my direction.
Mm-hmm.
And Aries always invited me not to be a people pleaser, and just to allow this fire to shape my life and to give me inspiration and to take action towards my dreams, which is very interesting because Pisces is about the dream world. It's so much about like dreaming and not doing anything, and Aries always gave me the ability to just like do
Mm.
what I do. And so I really really resonate, and many people who knows me, they see me as an Aries. Many people, they guess that I am a fire sign actually, and so
Mm.
I really resonate with it. Yeah.
Mm. Can we go back to 10 years ago when you were a marketing graduate and a ballerina? And I want to kickstart off with your spiritual awakening because, you know, you say you had a Kundalini awakening that completely changed how you perceive reality. But can
Uh-huh.
you explain, firstly, what is a Kundalini awakening for those that don't know what it is? And secondly, what happened for you after that you had that, for you to perceive reality differently? What was that like for you?
So the spiritual awakening, the first one that I had was 10 years ago, but the Kundalini awakening was actually this year, in the beginning of this year. So where do you want me to start?
Start from the beginning, like the 10 years ago. How did that happen?
Okay. Since very young, I was super psychic. I went to ask for forgiveness if my English is not the best, it's not my mother language. So if I have any mistakes, I hope I'm not annoying any of your listeners.
You're
But
not annoying me. I love the way you speak. Honestly, I told you this when I saw you in person. I was like, I just love the way you speak. It's so like poetic.
so since I was very young, I was really psychic, and I would see and hear things, and I was afraid of it. And my mother couldn't understand at all. She thought I was like not regulating well, and my father could really understand me. I was very lucky about that. My father was psychic as well. He always was very open to the spiritual world, so he was all the time supporting me and telling me step by step, like, oh, don't be afraid, like just be open, and etc.
Wow.
Uh, anyway, this started when I was a child, and when I was a teenager, it started becoming stronger, and I started to have really crazy experiences inside of my house, and see beings and hear them, and etc. And I was really afraid. Actually, I was really
Mm.
all the time there. And so I decided to close this door. I was like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to relate to that. And so for many years, I was completely disconnected from that. And then when I was in university, I was unfortunately drinking a lot of alcohol. Nothing against alcohol or any substances, but I was really drinking a lot. And every time I would drink, I would not be present in my body, and I would align with the spiritual world in a way that was not nice, let's say. And this was really draining my energy a lot. And so I started to open myself again to that. And I was like, okay, I guess it's time for me to understand what is happening here. And so I took a course in a spiritual center in Brazil to understand how to protect my field energetically. This was the first step. And then some years after, like I was practicing already this, protecting my field, etc. Some years after, I had a life that from externally looked like incredible. I had an amazing boyfriend and I had an amazing job. They were paying me very well. I was graduated in one of the best universities in Brazil in marketing. Everything was wonderful. I stopped with ballet because I came to a point of my life that I needed to choose in between university or ballet because I was all the time training and I didn't have time enough, honestly, for both. And so I've chosen the university. And so I had everything that looked incredible around me. But deep inside of myself, I was feeling empty. I was really feeling depressed, and that's why I was drinking so much, because I was escaping my reality. And people would be like, wow, your life, you have this job that is incredible. In this time, I was working a cultural producer company, and I needed to try a lot of different foods and say if the foods were good or bad, and all of them were actually amazing. So I was being paid to try food and to create like marketing campaigns that, like, it was incredible work, you know. And so everyone would tell me, wow, your life is incredible, you know. And I was like, I was not feeling that, and I was thinking something is wrong with me, like I cannot be grateful for everything that I want. And so I had a strong call to sit with medicine for the first time, with ayahuasca, in 2016. And I had my partner at this moment and my job and etc. And I told my partner, I feel this call. I look in the internet, like I want to do that with indigenous tribe, as we do in Brazil, right? And so I found a retreat for the weekend, and I told my partner I want to do this by myself. Like, I want to go alone to this retreat, and I want to sit with this medicine because it's inviting me to do that. And so I went to the retreat, and I'm not saying that anyone should do the same. I was quite an extreme person. I tried all the jungle medicines in one weekend. So was my first time sitting with rapé and with sananga and with kambo and with ayahuasca, everything in one weekend. It was an experience that put me completely out of my body, and then I could see things as if I was 10 years older, and I would look at my life and understand like what was making sense for me or not. And then I had this this aha moment of like, oh my gosh, like nothing of this is making sense to me. And so after this retreat, I came back home, and I needed some days of integration, of course, some weeks to sit with myself and understand. And I had a very difficult conversation with my partner, telling him that I wanted to break up and end the relationship. And I ended the relationship. I quit my job, and I felt I needed to cut the cords that I had with my comfort zone. And so I decided to move to Portugal. And all of this happened in 1 month.
Wow.
And so I just moved to Portugal. My family was quite of, what is happening, what is going on? And I said, nothing is making sense. I need to travel to find myself. I need to understand who I am without all of this, without my work, without my partner, without my family. Like, I need to figure it out, this by myself. And so I moved to Lisbon. And yeah, the years I had, I stayed in Lisbon for 3 years. I came back to visit my family, of course, but it was really a moment of my life in which I could understand who I was without all my attachments, you know, everything that was making me feel like myself. I started a new life, you know, in a new place. I didn't know anyone. And so this was my spiritual awakening. It was very challenging. I am not saying it needs to be like that, and I'm not wishing this for anyone, but in my case was very challenging. And I felt a lot of loneliness during this process, because I was going through a lot of questions and reflections that a lot of people couldn't relate. They couldn't understand. But making this decision of moving outside was the biggest step of my life. And still now, I go back always to visit Brazil, but I'm still living outside after 10 years. And this was my first spiritual awakening. This is how it happened.
Yeah, so much of that story I resonate with so deeply. I'm having deja vu saying this. It's, you know, the marketing, the tasting the food. I also did that as my job, like back in my life. And I feel like the loneliness of like going through it alone. And this is why I've started this podcast, because I feel we don't need to do this alone. There are people out there who've gone through this and have experienced these things, which at the time I wish I had my knowledge now that I needed back then, to hold my hand and be like, everything will be okay. Everything is going to be okay. And so hearing you say all these things is just so nourishing for me, for my past self, but me now knowing that this is, you know, these are the words I needed to hear, and I'm hearing them now. It's almost healing me now. So thank you for sharing that, because that is genuinely how I feel about, like, it doesn't need to be lonely, because there are so many of us doing the work. Or maybe, you felt this call, you listened to that call of your heart, and I did as well. I listened to the call of my heart. And for people that don't know my story of my spiritual awakening, I've just released my solo episode of that, and it's very similar to some of the things that you've just said. I was in this kind of corporate world, the office job, and then I went and did my musical theatre, amazing career, like doing that, and I hit those markers, those goals, but still there was something inside of me that felt soulless inside. And when I stepped into listening to that call, that's when all of it blew open, and this world, my reality changed after that. My perception of reality changed, and I started to listen and learn about all of these different types of modalities, like human design, gene keys, astrology, all of those things, and learning about spirituality, meditation, yoga. It brought me back to a place of oneness, and of realizing that we are exactly where we're meant to be, and all of these lessons are for us. They're for us, they're not happening to us. What if your team's biggest breakthrough came from within? At InnerVox, we create tailored workshops for corporate companies that unlock confidence, communication, and collaboration. We're not your typical training. Our workshops are dynamic, experiential, laughter-filled, and designed to create lasting transformation. We use creative techniques, performance psychology, and real human connection. We help your people build trust and express themselves and perform at their absolute best by listening to their intuition and their inner voice. Because when your people grow, your business also grows. Visit innervox.co.uk/corporate today and click the link in the description below. You have had so many parts of your identity fall away. And how was that for you, I'd say, on a day-to-day basis? Because if somebody is going through an ego death now, what would you say is a way for them to integrate that? You said, you took some time to integrate, a few days. For me, I didn't know what integration really was. And why is it so important for us to integrate?
I feel that naturally in life we navigate moments of expansion and contraction. And in my life path, I understand that every time I find my comfort zone and I have a solid structure, my life challenges me to overcome that and to find more freedom. And more freedom is less attachment and less expectation. And so what really supported me, and it has been, I'm still learning this process, is how to also allow myself to navigate moments of chaos and confusion. Because the mind, the ego, really wants to control and to cling on into identities and structures and safety, because it believes it can control the future or change the past. But actually, we're here just like navigating that in a way that we can control how we react to all of the circumstances, right? And so in my experience, in my personality, what it works for me is I allow myself to overcome my structures, my solid structures, and to go to these moments of expression when I'm going to confusion or chaos, is finding the center within myself. And so many times I was building foundations and pillars outside of myself, and then my life would take that away from me. And so I understood that I needed a solid foundation inside of myself. And this is presence. I am really, I have a lot of discipline. I'm really committed to my meditation practice. So every single morning, the first thing that I do when I wake up is to meditate, to really regulate my nervous system, to see if I am really in my heart and like if my nervous system is relaxed. And then I can be really present in every single thing that I do. And this is what helps me to navigate. And this doesn't mean that sometimes I don't face moments of emotional release. For example, if I have an emotion that is really alive, the emotion will come to the surface and I will feel that, and I will allow emotion to give me the message that it's bringing to me. But I'm also letting go. I'm not clinging on to this like, oh, I am this now, I am this emotion, I am that. And what I can say is that I faced it so many times, moments of depression in my life. And I thought like, oh, I'm really depressive. I really need like to change my perspective and all of that. And I understood that like the depression was the opposite of expression. Again, the contraction and the expansion of the soul. And so when I allowed myself to accept the moments of depression, I felt like, oh, that's my moment of releasing and like focusing my attention internally and allowing myself to rest more, to sleep more, to feel all of these emotions and let them go. And as soon as I was creating space for that to happen, naturally, organically, I would have moments of expansion and expression, and I would feel again like, oh, okay, now I am ready to blossom again.
How do you let go?
There are many ways of letting go. Dance is a very big therapy for me, and so when I'm going to a dance or when I'm dancing by myself, I bring the intention of bringing the emotion, sorry, in a way that I can transmute or release through the dance, and then in the end of my dance, I would be done with this process. And so I just bring this intention with dancing, for example. And sometimes when I'm going to paint or when I'm going to write, and sometimes I'm not doing anything, I'm just laying in my bed and I'm crying until a moment that I'm just like, it's enough. Like, one method that I use sometimes is we all have the pain body, right? And so we have this energetic body that is going through the pain and it's relating a lot with the emotion. And so if I feel a lot of anger, I can feel the sensations in my body of inner fire. And sometimes I have some pain in my stomach, for example, some anxiety coming through, or something like some tension in my throat, like I'm feeling the anger coming up. And so when I sit with this anger and I observe the anger without trying to heal, without trying to understand, without trying to separate myself from the anger, I'm just welcoming this. I'm like, oh, I am seeing that you are here. I put myself in the place of an observer and I'm like, that's my pain body. Like that's my emotional body that is showing me that. If I'm witnessing with presence, naturally it dissolves. Because just once your presence, you need to integrate. It's like I feel that in the new age spirituality, something that is very dangerous is that many times we are learning how to detach ourselves from parts of ourselves. We are separating, fragmenting even more ourselves. Like, oh, I had this trauma, I had this emotion. No, like we are rejecting and bypassing, right?
Yeah.
Or on the opposite, we are so addicted into the healing process that we can be into this loop of
Yes.
feeling the emotion. So there is a balance that comes from really practice and awareness. That's why meditation is so important. That is about recognizing, okay, the emotion is here. I'm not that. This is passing through me. And the only thing that this emotion wants from me is my presence. It just wants me to see that it's here. And so instead of trying to understand any stories and feel angry with someone or sad with someone else, I'm just observing the sensation and I'm present. I'm like, oh, okay, like we are here. I'm here with you, just observing. And this allows me to see that the emotion is not myself. It's just passing through. And this is how I let go of them.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, and emotions only should really last for about 90 seconds. If they are passing more than that, we may be sitting in that loop of feeling that emotion that we're not actually letting it go. So it really should dissipate after 90 seconds, and using those creative ways like painting and dancing and singing or expressing or writing is a way to turn that into expression. I loved how you said that depression turns into expression. That was really, really cool. I like that analogy. So what does it feel like when you're listening to your inner voice in your body? What happens when you don't and you ignore that?
When I listen to my inner voice, I feel really at peace. And so I'm very present here because my body feels soft. I am here now. There's no noise. And if I'm not following my inner voice, I feel frustration. This is also in my human design. So I can feel my body contracting and I can feel the anxiety. What happens is that if we are familiar with adrenaline, in my case, I was, if you have a childhood that was difficult and you are constantly in environments with adrenaline, it can be familiar for you to feel the frustration, to feel anxiety, and etc. And so for a long time of my life, I was outsourcing my power, trying to understand what was the right thing for me to do outside of myself. And this was bringing me so much frustration and contraction. But because this was familiar in my past, I was disconnected from my internal compass, right? When I started to detach, I have moments of socializing and I have really moments of retreat that I am by myself. When I started to really touch my own body and mostly my chest, my belly, and just feel my body and regulate my nervous system and to be present, I started to listen to my own inner guidance. And this just brings me peace. I can be present. I don't need to escape anywhere else. I'm here now. And so that's how I feel.
I just want to touch back on one of the questions that I asked earlier. We didn't actually touch on your Kundalini experience. Can you share a bit about that? Because I've not heard this yet.
I will start saying that I'm not a specialist in regards this energy. And it's very interesting how many times my life puts me to explore things that I was avoiding really do researches about them or to study about them. And my life brings me the experience. And I feel this is almost my true self, my higher self, not wanting my mind to create stories. And so I heard so many times about Kundalini and I was never, studying about that and understanding better about that. But I was living with a woman that had a Kundalini awakening. I received some Kundalini activations for free in some retreats, but I never understood what is actually this. What I understand now is that the Kundalini is the primal force of creation that we have within our bodies, and is resting in the base of our spine. And so when this energy starts moving up through the spine, starts passing through the chakras, through the centers of the body, and every time this energy passes through a chakra, is purifying and balancing, expanding the center, this chakra of the body. And so the enlightenment would be to go from the bottom, from the root to the crown chakra, right? This is what I understand about this energy. And again, I'm not a specialist. I'm sharing here my own understanding about that. What happened with me, it was really wild. The whole last year, I was constantly going through different processes of purification of my body. And so I had 21 days of panchakarma in India. That is like 21 days of detoxing, balancing the doshas with a lot of detoxing modalities for the body. 10 days of silence. I had my initiation in Kriya Yoga, that is also about purifying all the chakras. I had many water fasts or dry fasts and liver flushes and parasite protocols. I was going through a huge process of purification of my body, my vessel, without understanding so well why. But my heart was just bringing me constantly to this experience of like, we need to do this, we need to do this. And I was, okay, allowing this to happen, right? And so in January of this year, I had a connection with a person, a meditation with a person, a man. And it was a meditation connecting the polarities of the body, the electricity of the two bodies for them to circulate, right? And so I had this meditation with this man. And some days after, I was sleeping in this bed. And I woke up in the middle of the night. I had a dream that a lightning was coming from the sky and entering my spine.
Wow.
And then I woke up in the middle of the night and I was in fever. And like in the real life, I was not dreaming. I was in fever. And the 4 days after that, I was going through a huge physical purge. So I was vomiting and with diarrhea, and I couldn't eat and I couldn't drink water. They needed to come to my home to give me IV, and I was in fever. And for the first time in my life, while I was purging, I was having the vision of like memories of my past that I was releasing while I was purifying the body.
Wow.
And I thought I would die, honestly. I was like, oh my, like, I don't know what is happening. Like, how am I going through that? You know, like what is going on? And I'm so lucky because after 4 days, I live with a woman that she went through a Kundalini awakening 1 year ago, and she's a psychic. She gives sessions. She's really incredible. And she saw me and she's like, can I help you? Like, can I read your feud? Can I talk with your higher self? Can I see what's going on with you? And I was like, please, yes, you know.
I have goosebumps listening to this story.
And so she gave me a reading, and she offered that to me. She didn't ask me for any money. She just really wanted to serve this, you know. And she told me, you are going through a Kundalini awakening. It's your Kundalini. And so, and she said, you need 3 weeks for this energy to stabilize a bit, but around 3 months for you to really integrate that, right? And so after I could heal and start eating again, I had so much electricity in my body that every single day I would need to wake up and go to the grass in my garden and lay down on the grass just because of the electricity. And I would wake up with my hair like this, you know, like so much electricity in my body. And I would feel my whole body like really active in a
Pulsing?
way that the middle
Pulsing?
pulsing in a way that in the middle of the night I would wake up thinking there was an earthquake, and I would ask Priscilla. I live in Bali, so it's kind of normal. And I would ask my flatmate, like, earthquake and things like this. And she would be like, no. And I would check in the internet and no earthquake, but my body was buzzing.
Wow.
And so I started to do a bit more of research about the Kundalini. And I was like, how can I integrate that? Like, how can I have a normal life going through this? Because right after I started to understand better about this energy, everything, all my senses, they started to shift. So my diet started to change. What I wanted to eat started to change. What I listen, I hear the sounds now much louder. So sometimes I was going to work in restaurants for like the whole last year, and now I go to this restaurant and I can listen to everything in such a loud way that I can't anymore. And I feel the vibration of the floor, of the main road. And so all of my senses, they started to be ignited to the top in a way that I was feeling really overwhelmed. Every time I would be social with people, I would be feeling what everyone else is feeling around me. And I would be like, oh my gosh, like, how can I be social? How can I have friends? How can I be outside of my house if I'm going through this process? And so it's been a journey. Finally, now it's it's more balanced. So I feel much better. I'm still shifting. Things are still changing, but that's my experience. The electricity is still ongoing, and it's really, really interesting. This brought a huge identity shift as well. Together with it, and what it's happening and helping me a lot is to be really consistent with my practices, and mostly I would say Kriya Yoga really helps me to like really breathe through my spine and to be really present and to be more in nature. And so yeah, this this has been my experience so far.
That's wild that you were just lying down. Your body was calling you to lie down in the earth and that your hair was just wow. In those moments of that happening for you, what's going on in your brain? Like what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Because from hearing it sounds like I know this is all real, but for someone who's listening to this going, what on earth are you talking about? They might not understand why our body is doing this, why these experiences are happening, what this means. So can you explain why you feel what you feel this means for you to maybe transform and up level into a new version of yourself, why it's necessary?
I feel that I've chosen this path of self-development, not for myself, but because I understood that this was my service. I was here to serve that. And it's so interesting because for a long time in my life, as when we met, I've been supporting women to be more empowered. And so I was all the time guiding women how to be the protagonist of their own movie. And actually, in my whole last year, I was learning how to be the second character of my own movie and step back from being the main character. And this was really challenging my ego that wanted to control and structure everything. But every time my life was inviting me to be in a place of understanding what is needed in this environment, like what I'm here to do. Like, it's not about myself, it's about the collective. Like, what can you serve in this moment? And so, because I had a personality that was very strong, an identity that was so like, oh, I'm so confident that I'm this, and that's my dream, and that's my standards, and all of that, I went through a huge process that was much, much above my mental comprehension to prove to me that I should surrender and trust and just allow this process to happen. And so, after the Kundalini awakening, I went through another, because I went through this so many times in my life, another ego death that was showing to me like, you don't need to cling on to this identity. Your identity, your ego is trying to really show you like, oh, I am this, because it wants you to believe that you can control every single thing that has happened in your life. And the soul experience it was showing to me, there are forces and energies that are stronger than you, because when I had my Kundalini awakening, my physical body was for 4 days in bed. I couldn't eat, I couldn't do anything. It was stronger than my mind. And so my body needed to pause. I didn't have any choice. It was like, oh, I can't work, I can't do anything. I needed to cancel all the sessions that I needed to give. My body was just like, no, it's time for pause. You are going through something here. And so I understand that I went through this process myself to actually support others who will go through this process or who are going through this process. My whole life initiated me into many a very traumatic situation. And I'm very comfortable to talk about that in a more open way. I've been mentoring women for the last year and supporting them with different tools into how to release and integrate traumatic experiences like sexual abuse or food disorder, eating disorder, or I forgot the name of this in English, when you have the image distortion, when you see your body in a way that is actually not.
Yeah, dysmorphia, body dysmorphia.
Exactly. And to go out from toxic relationships or to go through a process of abortion, I needed to go through all of this myself, not through studying in a book, but through living that. And then I had the medicine from the experience. And for many years of my life, I was asking myself, why do I need to go through all of this nightmare? Like, I thought life was punishing me until the moment that I made peace with that part of myself. And I was like, I went through all of that. I love you. Like, wow, I celebrate you. You went through all of that. As soon as I integrated this part of myself, I started to attract so many women that went through the same things. And then I understood, oh, actually, I went through this to understand how to go out of that and support other human beings through the same. And so with the Kundalini, it's very recent, but that's what I feel. I feel I went through the experience to be able to serve this to others. Understanding that we are in a moment that in the collective, the vibration of Earth is it's raising the frequency of Earth, and all the things that were under the carpet are coming to the surface. Yeah. And we are all so shocked about that, and we are like, oh my gosh, like what is happening in the planet, as well as these frequencies are raising. All of these aspects of ourselves, these programs, these patterns that we were carrying through so many generations because of our ancestors, they needed to go through so much repression and suppression. We are ready to make peace with that and choose something different, right? And so I understand that my Kundalini awakening in an energetic way is just, it's clearing, it's purifying my chakras, It's not even something that I'm doing consciously, like, oh, now I'm purifying my heart. Now I am doing something. It's just an energy that is going up, and it's happening. It's happening. And that's what I feel. It's all related to my service. How can I support others in going through the same?
I totally resonate with that, because as I've been starting this podcast and sharing and being vulnerable in speaking my truth and sharing some of the experiences that I've been going through, it's been so evident with the podcast I'm listening to as to everything that you've been saying, the vibration and the frequency of the whole collective, the consciousness of the Earth is rising into this new Earth, into a new reality of what we create and we co-create together. And these experiences and traumas and the experiences from our past and our ancestors and the past generations are ready to be released, because we are at a vibration and frequency that can hold that, for that to now go, so that we can step into the new timeline. All of these conversations that have been coming up worldwide are being spoken about now. The truth is coming out in every single form, whether that's individually or collectively. And we are starting to think differently now. We have new vibrations and frequencies coming into the earth every single moment of the day as we have a new infant, a new soul that's being birthed into this life. Our frequency is changing. And as we share our truth like this, more people are listening, more people are awakening, and we are shifting, and that for me is my absolute truth. I really do resonate with that, and that feels right to me. So when you say it feels truthful in my body, it feels peaceful, this is how I feel. And I feel so strongly about that. And what we're doing now by helping other people through our lived experiences is that absolute truth of that. That's my purpose, is that I want to share my experiences with people, because we don't have to go through this alone. As I said earlier, some of the things that you vulnerably shared just then, going through abortion and through sexual abuse, and those experiences, there are people that talk about that, but the more people that we share this with and we experience, and we can heal with each other. We don't have to do it all alone. And I really thank you for opening up and saying that, because that was something that I missed earlier. So thank you for that. And can you please share a little bit more about your mentorship and your mastery school? You just touched a little bit on it there. Who is it for, and what transformation do people go through by working with you?
The name of the mentorship is Free Yourself, and it's all about freedom. So if I could say about one specific thing that wraps up everything that is about freedom. This has been my path, and freedom in every areas of my life. And for example, do you feel free inside of your body? That's the first question. Do you feel free and comfortable to be who you are? Do you feel free with your own expression, your sexual expression, your voice, in the things that you say, in the things that you create? Do you feel free within your finances, in your prosperity? Do you feel free inside of your relationships, free inside of your work? So there are all these aspects of freedom that I've been navigating through the last years. I was nomadic as well for many years of my life. I'm still traveling, but now less. But the mentorship is about helping others in a transition phase, and they are designed individually. So this means that perhaps your needs are different than the needs of another person. I'm always using somatic intelligence. And so we always go back to the body. We work with the energy field and the emotional field, but we always come back to the physical body to integrate all the shifts that are taking place. I work as well with IFS, with internal family system, and other tools, other modalities, and movement, of course, dance. And so the mentorship is for any person who is in a moment of transition. And this can be like, I'm not happy with this work anymore. I want to change to a new career. It can be, who am I? Like, what are my dreams? I don't know my passions, actually. Or it could be, I broke up this relationship and now I don't know. I lost myself. I lost my identity. Or it could be, I am very well in my work and I'm happy with my relationship and etc. But I want to expand. I'm ready for the next step. I'm ready to up level. I work a lot with the energetics of money in a very beautiful way and feminine way, in a way that money is a current, it's currency. So it's a lot about like circulating and taking inspired action and not losing ourselves into activities, because so many times we lose our energies into trying to make the mind busy, with little activities. And so the mentorship is a lot about practicing so much freedom in your body to feel present and to take inspired action from a place of, I want to do that because I feel good doing that, and not because I know how to do that, or not because I think I need to do that. It's all about freedom. And so I work a lot with abundance as well, in this way of like how to expand the business, how to expand our prosperity. Abundance is for sure everywhere around us. So abundance is, I'm not talking only about money, but I'm also talking about love and nourishment and art and creativity. Like, how can I feel alive, wake up every day and feel like, wow, that's the life I am choosing for myself, instead of just being a victim of reality, how can I choose my reality day by day? And so that's my work. That's what I do. And that's what I have been doing the last years, and I feel very, very passionate about.
Thank you. And what's one piece of advice you'd give to somebody who is lost and trying to find their purpose, apart from working with you, obviously?
It doesn't matter how much we try to find the answers outside of us. If the nervous system is not regulated, if we're not present here and now, of understanding with clarity what we're here to do. I understand that we were educated to measure things in regards to time, and so easily the mind can be lost into the past, what already happened, or like how can I control the future. And this is how we create stress and complications to our lives. And so if we are able to be really present in this moment, for me, the present happens outside of time. That's what I would say. And so if I can be present in my body, I can step by step understand what is the inspired action, what is in alignment with like the most nourishing thing for me in each moment. And this would direct me exactly towards where I am here to go. And so that's what I would say. And gratitude. I feel as well we learned a lot about how to want more from life all the time. We're in this place of seeking for things to be different than they are, and like I want more. And even in our prayers, please, I want this and this and this. And so when we start to finally being present and observing around us the abundance that is already here and practicing gratitude, we can allow ourselves to be in the vibration of what we are calling in. I always say like the vibration of the problem is so different than the vibration of the solution if I'm constantly putting my attention on what is, I can't find a solution for it. So it's so much about practicing looking around and feeling grateful. Oh, I am so grateful for my body and for my life story and for everything that is around me. And so I say that are the two secrets, presence and gratitude.
Yeah, I mean, you say it's secrets, but it's so simple.
Like, yeah, it can sound so simple, so basic, like, oh, okay. People were kind of like, oh, this new age is spirituality. But actually, this is the most grounding thing you can do, the easiest. You don't have to do anything besides putting your hands in your body and breathing and being present and looking around you and just observing how many beautiful things are already around us, you know.
We don't need anything outside of us. Everything is within us. We don't need anything externally. Thank you for that. Where can people find out more about you and the amazing work that you're doing in the world?
You can find my Instagram on the description of the podcast. I am updating my website, so very soon I'll have my website updated with the new offerings. Anyway, I'm still giving my sessions normally, and so if you need any details, more information to work with me, you can just send me a message, and I can tell you whatever you need to know. All of my offerings are really designed for the needs of one person. But right now I'm also creating group containers. And so it really depends on what the person feels called to do with me.
Amazing. So if you're listening and you would love to work with Marina, please find her Instagram handle in the description and contact her directly so you can work with her. Thank you, Marina. One last question. What's one takeaway you want the listener to leave with today?
The most important thing for all of us is to be in our hearts, for the heart to be aligned with the mind. And so it's really important for us to be present in our bodies and follow our hearts, our excitement. What we create within us is what is being reflected outside of us. And so it's very, very important to preserve the peace within. And like this, we can see this being reflected on the external.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your voice and sharing your wisdom and your experiences. And honestly, it's been such a pleasure to have you on this episode. And thank you so much for listening. And I hope this helps you or somebody else to shine bright. If you enjoyed this episode, please like this video and share it with someone that you feel might need to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and comment below your thoughts on this episode or your awakening experience and share your voice. I really do love reading all your comments. I'm sending so much love. Thank you so much, Marina. Until next time, see you in the next episode.